Artoria, the servant that broke the game. We had Waver, who was a generally good all-around support, Merlin, who elevated busters and is phenomenal in CQs, then Scotty came along and made quick great, especially for farming and allowing you to quickly kill bosses with the right setup. All of those servants were amazing, but had some flaws to them. Waver is good for general use, but doesn't really specialize in a specific area. Merlin, good for buster crits, but lacks a 50% NP charge, so not really ideal for farming unless you can make up the extra 30% difference. And Scotty, well, she isn't well suited for long battles. Then here comes Castoria, who is godly for farming, godly for CQs, and has insane defensive capabilities for long battles. Skills are broken, NP's broken, and is a saber face. What more can you ask for? So let's talk about why you should go broke for Artoria. Now, obviously, don't actually go broke for her. She is a game changer, but don't spend money you don't have. Even using a support Castoria will give you a substantial advantage in battle. You can still 3-turn farm also, and beat CQs if you use the right servants and a support Castoria. So let's start with the stats. Artoria has great stats matching Scotty's HP numbers, which is currently the second highest HP out of all 5-star casters until Miss Crane comes out. This is good as a supporter since you want her to live as long as possible in battle. Now, attack stats is on the lower side, matching Merlin's and Anastasia being towards the bottom half, but she's not really going to be your DPS unit, so don't worry about that. In terms of attacks, she has a triple arch stack. Again, that's what you want for a supporter so you can NP spam. She has an impressive 55% NP charge when using an Art's Brave Chain. This includes the 20% bonus. Now, being realistic, you'll rarely perform Art's Brave Chain with her because you'll mainly attack with your DPS unit or you're just not going to have the right cards. So if you chain at least one ally's arts with 2 of hers, she can charge roughly 40% bonus included, which is still great. And Art's Quick Art's Brave Chain will give her 29%, also great. And as you can see, she isn't the best star generator. So let's talk about her broken skills. She gives an AoE attack boost of 20% and a 30% party NP battery. Godly ability, despite being simple. Being able to charge 30% NP for everyone, including herself, is very useful. This means you can make do with a max limit broken imaginary element, while a lot of supporters who can charge 20% for everyone will require you to own a K-scope. For her, that's not necessary, so automatically Artoria being able to charge 30% for the party makes it really free-to-play friendly. Her second skill gives an additional 20% NP charge to one person, meaning one servant will have instant access to 50% charge right away. The additional 30% NP gain buff will allow your arch servants to loop their NPs. Combining her first 2 skills with the third skill is what makes arch servants so powerful in this game, thanks to the 50% arch buff. Don't worry about the additional threats to humanity buff. There's really not a lot of enemies with that trait. The skill also grants the selected servant invincibility for 1 turn, so great for survivability. Artoria is an arch supporter because of her third skill, but because she can also buff regular attack and charge 50% NP, as well as protect allies, she can be used outside of arch teams. So if you don't currently have strong arch DPS units, don't think she's useless. Artoria can still help for general use. Now, her passives are also good, which shouldn't be any surprise by now, right? She'll have some defensive passives like debuff resistance and crit chance resistance. Amazingly, her territory creation is among the best, giving her a 12% arts boost, which helps with her NP gains. The boost in arts crit damage is also a nice addition since she does have 3 arts. Castoria's Noble Phantasm is godly in the game. Though getting multiple NP levels isn't necessary, having higher NPs will benefit you. First off, this gives a 30% AoE attack buff to your team at NP 1, 50% at NP 5. Not only that, she'll clear all debuffs, which is amazing for CQs. Still not convinced she's awesome? Well, how about a team-wide invincibility that cannot be pierced? That's right, ignore invincibility is useless against you. The anti-purge defense is hit-based, but you can increase the hit stacks based on her overcharge level. So like if she's at overcharge 5, which is kind of difficult to consistently pull off, but at overcharge 5, that's 5 invincibility hits for 3 turns. Realistically though, overcharge level 1 and 2 is what most players will get depending on support. Regardless, it's amazing. Combined with her skill NP batteries and easy NP generation with arts chains, you'll be spamming her NP, and it's well worth it. Now, there's a lot of praise for her, rightfully so, but just be aware of multiple enemy NP attacks. Depending on your overcharge, if she only protects against one hit, she can't protect you against the second one, especially if it's an AoE attack. In terms of teams, she can literally work with everyone, even non-arts servants because of her NP and her skill, which will buff attack along with offering a 50% NP charge. Any player that say, if you can't 3-turn farm, or if you don't have strong arts team and therefore you should skip her, is completely wrong. You can use Castoria within every team. That's how great she is. Obviously, she's great with arts team because of her third skill. Also, it's best to have 2 Castorias in battle, but Tamamo, Mash, Anderson, Waver, Reynes, Paracelsus are good supports to either have plug suits as buff and switch supports or as an alternative if you don't have a Castoria yourself. Like I mentioned, she's godly with arts servants, specifically arts loopers. In the game, we have Space Ishtar, although you'll need her at NP2 because she doesn't really offer class advantage much to safely farm high HP nodes. At least that's my experience. Berserker Musashi, Da Vinci Rider, Chen Gong, like my god, he's ridiculous with Castotorias. Single targets like Zerker Vlad is amazing, and obviously there's a hell of a lot more arts loopers in the game, but naming everyone will take all day. For C recommendations, you want passive supports like a Prismacosmos or 2030 for CQs. Demonic Bodhisattva is also pretty neat since it's an auto overcharge 3, allowing you to receive 3 hits of anti-purge defense. It also gives starting NP, so that's always good. Her Bond CE is highly recommended since it offers general attack boost and NP gains, so basically even better for looping NPs. Majority of the time, however, you'll equip her with event CEs. If you're doing farming outside events, like interludes, rank ups, or playing the story, I highly recommend equipping Bond experience CEs since Bond levels now play a huge role in servant coins and you'll get some extra Saint Quartz. Trust me, the extra Bond experience you get is more valuable than using a combat focused CE like Prismacosmos or 2030, unless you're struggling in battle, of course. Basically, she has CE flexibility as with most supporters. For command codes, give her some kind of healing equipment like Bride White's Rose, which helps everyone, or Maiden of Orleans just to keep her health good for survivability. NP charging codes like Magus of Flowers is also good on her since you want to spam her NP often for support. But like, I personally would like to use it on my DPS, since if you give Castoria Prismacosmos combined with her high arts NP gains and her NP battery, it seems a bit overkill, so the code can be used elsewhere. But if you have her at higher NP levels, then hitting higher NP charge levels is a good idea. So, Caster Artoria is insanely good. You know it, I know it, let's not deny it. Many players say FGO is on easy mode with her. Now, despite being practically broken, other teams can still be used. If you can still run a 3-turn farm with Skadi, Caster Artoria doesn't all of a sudden ruin quick teams. Well, actually, maybe she kind of does, since support is filled with her now, and rarely Skadi, you bastards, making me refresh support just to find her. And of course, the best event CEs will go to Castoria from now on. So, oh no, quick is done for. I'm just joking. Of course, you'll still find Skadi on the support slot, but generally, you'll see a lot less from her. And like I mentioned, a lot of the good CEs will go to Castoria instead of Skadi from now on. But hey, at least you'll still find Skadi for that quick team. So it's not to the point where she's gone, like Merlin. Shit. Remember when we used to praise a double Merlin setup? Now I can rarely find the bastard on support. Basically, don't worry, quick is still good and can offer high crit damage, something arts can't do. Once Tamomovich comes out, Buster will be great again, but at the end, Arts is still seen as the superior system out of the 3 thanks to this adorable caster. Now, the way you use Castoria's skills depends on your main DPS servant. You'll always use her arts buff first since there's no NP battery tied to the skill. If you already have 100% starting NP on your attacker, then don't waste her first or second skill. It's always better to save the batteries for later use, and to be honest, the first wave is usually weak. You would then use her second skill to offer that 30% NP gain buff so that you can loop your DPS NP on wave 3. then use her attack buff and charge the remaining gauge. If you don't start with 100% NP gauge, but let's say you have a K-scope with 80% charge, then use her second and third skill on wave 1. It's also recommended to have some NP gaining or charging mystic codes just in case you lose out on some NP charging, like for example when facing all berserkers who offers the least amount of refund. But just keep in mind every situation and servants is different. For example, if you are fighting a boss with only 1 bar gauge, then it's okay to use all her attack buffs and all her skills at that first turn so you can potentially kill that boss in 1 hit. But otherwise, use her skills accordingly. So save up those Saint Quartz and tickets to summon Castoria if you can, cause she's a game changer. Now, it's perfectly okay to skip her as well. Just because everyone praises her doesn't mean you have to get her. If you're saving for someone, for instance like Muramasa, cause he's pretty cool as well, then by all means, save for him, and it's okay not to summon Castoria. The game isn't hard aside from a few CQs and story chapters, but at the end of the day, it's your Saint Quartz and money. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for future FGO videos. Good luck on your summons for Castoria. Till next time, everyone.